But I think as a whole, the album is kind of, you know, has a sort of, it's good. The album's called Goodbye Wendy, and it's a kind of reference to two various places, but it's a John Betjeman poem which I really liked, which just had a line, you know, Goodbye Wendy, which, and also the sort of Peter Pan scenario, and, you know, I'm getting older, and, you know, I've got to hold down my business at the end of the day and work my bollocks off to earn a crust and pay for my house. So yeah, it's a kind of goodbye to the sort of happy days of renting property and not having too much hassle and just having studios. So yeah, in terms of studios, I've had a few over the years, set up in houses, rented houses, this, that and the other. I mean, up until I left London, I had, which I was really pleased with, a studio down in Bethnal Green, which I recorded a few people in, and I really enjoyed that. It was in an artist's space, as most things are in artist space that are arty. And yeah, that was a really fantastic place, but unfortunately Olympics came along and fucked that one over big time. You know, the landlord whacked the rent up, and well, away went that. And then I had a business. I was self-employed in carpentry and doing shop fitting in central London. Again, the workshop that I was renting, and the guys I was working with in London, they were all on the X marks the spot for the Olympic Stadium, and again, you know, that was taken away with the buying of the land, and, you know, there's no money. So I decided that, you know, London, as great as it was, and as much as I enjoyed, you know, gigging and IPA hire, and I was out and about in London hiring out in the East End mainly, as great as that was, time had passed and it was time to move on. So bought a little house down in Exmouth, Devon, which is where I'm basically from. I'm from a smaller village outside of Exmouth, but, you know, essentially it's in Devon, near Exeter. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with the studio. I built it myself, being a carpenter and all. It's all made out of wood, and I will show you the outside. But unfortunately tonight there is a massive storm, and essentially I came out here just to check that the whole thing wasn't going to blow away. I think it's March 10th 2008, and yeah, you probably might be looking at this and thinking, oh yeah, that was the night my grand's house roof blew off or something. It's a massive storm out there, and yeah, this whole place is rattling a bit, but it's holding up strong. And if it blows down, my whole studio's gone, everything. So yeah, let's hope this wind don't get any bigger. Alright, I'm going to show you around the studio. What I'm showing you this on is a MacBook with one of those that little funky camera in the top, and which is a Macintosh if you're a PC person. A MacBook is just the laptop, which is, yeah, pretty good actually. I quite like it. I got the black one, not the white one. And you've seen those little skinny ones now. Oh, flipping heck, they're nice. Yeah, Mac porn. If you're a Mackie, you'll know what I'm talking about. So yes, I will show you around. So basically, in my studio, we have loads and loads of Macintoshes, and I daisy chain them all, and they're all MIDI together in sequence. And this is how I'm sort of farting with my electronic music. So we have sort of this end, we have like, this is a sort of G4 tower end, and I have my tower and the bottom with I don't know, various different bits. You can probably see there's my little samplers. Those are little Zoom sample tracks, and I've had those for years, and I've got 3 of them because they're just, I used to have like a Roland rack mount sampler. It was so hard to use, and it had its own screen, and it was just old school sampling, and it was just such a nightmare. Just to get like a little glitchy beat, which was, you know, all I wanted. I didn't really want to do massive loops and massive vocals and stuff. I just, you know, and these things didn't have the power to do that sort of stuff. Anyway, I just had, you know, this tiny little beats and stuff, and it was just, took me hours just to get a sample out of them. So these things are just fantastic. They just, and this is why they're free, and this is why they feature in every single track that I've probably ever made. Just, you can you can just edit down samples really quickly. Over here we have Clone. That little bad boy is just the best thing I've bought. Bought it off some random guy back in Exeter when I was living here first time round, and yeah, it just makes weird sounds. It's just pure old school analog. No MIDI, no nothing. It works off a pulse, and you can just get the craziest sounds out of it. And yeah, great. It's been part of a lot of old tracks. I don't use it so much now because it's pulse and it's just like you can't control it, but it does do cool stuff. Yeah, we got like a mic and stuff for the vocals, and a Korg synth, which I only use as a kind of mastering, kind of master MIDI synth. We got the G4, then we got the old bass station, which is fantastic, you know, good old chunky basses, and another G4 down there with some crap. The first ever Sony mini disc Walkman, which was fantastic. Quite proud of that. It doesn't see much use these days, but it's the first one, and it's just massive. And it had a Michael Jackson mini disc album on the front cover of the box, which I still have, and one day it'll go on eBay for millions, I'm sure. We've got an EMU synth, which is just cool. It just does good stuff. Korg MS2000 rack, that's brilliant. Always been a stronghold of my sound. The Yamaha, whatever it is, RM1X. Kind of corny sounds, crappy beats on it, but yeah, you can do like tweaky acids, and I use it sort of mainly to bulk out tracks more than anything. But yeah, it's been there. It's served its purpose. Couple of little iBooks, which, you know, this is kind of chronological order in which my music's progressed. You know, Atari ST, iBook, iMacs, and then G4s, and now MacBooks, and you know, maybe a MacBook Pro. There is the Apollo album, and that is up there to remind me why I make electronic music every now and again when I got time nowadays. You know, loads of other gadgets and crap, big PA speakers, and so yeah, that's my sort of general studio, and I just kind of churn out music. I don't really come in here with a set idea. I kind of usually clunk out a tune, and you know, and if it doesn't really work, then I'll finish it in post and make it work, and ish. And sometimes they just come together and I don't need to do anything in post. It all just comes off the daisy chain in the MIDI and off the keyboards, and I'm playing it. And yeah, you can just roll them off. And anyone that makes electronic music in that kind of way, I'm sure it's just the way it works. I don't think anyone, I mean, I guess for any musician really, you know, sometimes you have to work at it really hard, sometimes you don't have to do anything and you write the best tune ever. So yeah, this is my studio. I guess that's it for blog number 1. When the storm passes, then it's a lovely day. I'll show you the outside of the studio, which I'm quite proud of, because that looks quite pretty. I made it all like lovely. So yeah, watch this blog, watch this space, and if you click on the other, if you click on the semeionaside bit and you see the rest of the videos, I've got an animation studio in my loft, which I made the Prince and Knave Gym, the first one. I'm now in production of the second one, which is taking a lot longer because I'm working a bit harder on it, and I want to make it a bit more of a fuller story than the first one. So yeah, and you'll also see my little baby, my little girl, which is another reason why I moved back here. I couldn't really afford to buy a house in London. With the Olympics taking away my business and my studio, it was like, ooh, I've got a lot coming on, and I've got a baby coming. Oh my god! So yeah, you'll see her popping out of a box and singing Christmas carols, and I think it's her, like, not her first steps, but early steps. My sister living in Korea, and she hadn't seen her since she was 3 months old. Sorry, 3 weeks old, not 3 months. So yeah, she was tiny my last time my sister saw her, so it's a little YouTube for my sister really more than anyone. Um,